Okay, this is a video about the F150 transfer case from those years, 2009 to 2014. And this one here is from a 2013 V8. Okay, what we're having trouble with is this thing skips. If you're pulling hard in four-wheel drive, it skips, which sounds like it's skipping out of four-wheel drive into two, and then it goes back into four-wheel drive. But it's a loud bang from underneath the cab, and you can actually feel it. It feels like somebody hit the transfer case with a big hammer. And it happens periodically, I don't know, every 15, 20 seconds if you're pulling hard. Anyway, the thing to know about this is if your truck does that, if you drain the oil out, that's the drain, that's the fill, and there's a magnet right about here, okay, and it's in this direction. You see where those lines are, and if you look in there with a flashlight, you might be able to see the magnet. And here's what the magnet looks like, and it's sitting here, right here in the lower case half. And here's the parts I found in my magnet, on my magnet, and this one part here is not so smashed up, but you see the round shape. It's kind of a sheath from a thrust bearing where, the crimped edges of that, one of them holds one race in and the other holds the other race in with, of course, the ball and the cage in the middle. But this is just one sector. It was a full, about that big round, okay? All right, anyway. If you look in there, you might see those parts on the magnet. So I'm just going to do a quick open up of this thing so you can understand, maybe try and assess the problem with your truck's having. Okay, you just have to pry it right here, and same thing on the other side. And you don't have to take off this motor. You don't have to take off these nuts, anything. It just comes off. And one thing to watch for is this rubber seal for that spline. I mean, your drive shaft comes out here, and this thing is jammed all the way in, but it's in there. So when you pull the shaft off, it stays in there. When you put it all back together, this thing will be inside the hole, so watch for it. Okay, so when you take this cover off, everything just sits there. And there's a spring on top that holds this shift fork down. This shift fork, I don't know, this drum here shoves it up, and it does something there. I don't know what that is. A coil magnet setup. I don't know what it does. Anyway, it just lifts. Oh, and that's just sitting there, but there's a snap ring on the shaft there, and all of this stuff lifts off. And then the drive chain, all of that just lifts off. And there's this big spacer. It's sitting right there on top of the oil pump. So there's that. And the oil pump pulls out too. You got to wiggle it. It's got a little keeper here that's a little hard to get out. Yeah, not really. It comes out. Okay, it's out. Now right here is the magnet, okay? So that's where your trash will be, sitting on that magnet right there. And it holds this oil pump suction thing down. Anyway, that all lifts off. And then this shift guide shaft just pulls out. And this main shaft just pulls out too. So this right here is the shift between two-wheel drive and four-wheel drive. Okay. And this here is like the hub, that 4 high, 2 high, and then down there is 4 low because it runs the planetary. Okay, so when it pops out of four-wheel drive, these teeth here, these dog teeth, they get chewed up. I don't know if you can see that in the camera, but the edges are chewed up. And so anyway, every time it pops out of four-wheel drive and does that bang, it's tearing off little pieces of metal right there. I mean, it's not good. So if your transfer case bangs, you should take it apart. Okay, and so down in here is, this is the thrust bearing right here. I'll take it out. That's 3 parts, right? Okay, well, it is, but that's wrong. It's broken because it used to be an assembly where this part here held them all together and it went all the way around, okay? But something caused this little sheath to break off, and all those parts, you know, these sheath parts are down inside this planetary, and they're blocking your I don't know, your coupling, I don't know what you call this, coupling hub or whatever. They're blocking it from sliding up and down between 2 and 4-wheel drive. Okay, if those parts are in there gummed up in there, gumming it up. All right, so the thing is there's a way for them to get out. If you can see that skipped tooth right there. So, I mean, I would imagine mine, this part here, it made its way out of there and then to the magnet without almost any damage at all. But anyway, this is all spinning, okay, and so it got out of there on mine. But on yours, if it's skipping, I suspect it's because these chunks down in there are preventing the this coupling thing from going all the way in and keeping in four-wheel drive. All right. So you can buy a new one of these. They're not that expensive. I'm $30, I think. I got the part number for it. Or I don't know. I suspect you just can take it apart, make sure there's, you know, none of this trash in here, and put it all back together and run it. I don't know this, but I suspect you can do that. That's all I know, and you can do what you want. But anyway, it takes a little bit to get this thing out of the truck. It's 80 pounds, and you can take these chunks out of there, and you can put it back together, and you can try it. When you put it back together, you're going to need some sealant to go all around. But other than that, it's, you know, it's a pretty straightforward process. It's not bad. And you can write in the comments if you did this and it no longer skips out. I'd be interested. So give me some feedback if you got it. Okay, I'll put this back together just so you can get more familiar with it. Okay, here's a thrust bearing, and I'm just putting it back in here without the sheath. And I can't imagine that wouldn't work. Okay, center it on there, and here's that 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive shifter hub. That goes in there. The shaft. And here's the oil pump. And you have to align that little sector right there with its drive sector. There it is. The screen goes in there, and then the magnet goes in that slot, holds it down. And here's the shift fork. Okay, so it's in 4-wheel drive, I believe. I mean, sorry, that's in low. And here, this thing slides in there, the shift rod. And then the this ring goes on top of the fuel pump. I mean the oil pump. And here's the drive chain. Drops on there. And then this part here, which I haven't figured out what it is. So this plastic is on top of that profile there, and then this spring goes on top of there, shoves that on there, and then of course this ring goes back on there on that shaft. So just tossing it in, and then the cover goes on there, and then pay attention to that little rubber thing right there, and sometimes the shaft of that shift drum has a little trouble engaging the motor again. You can take all this off and eyeball it, but it goes. It's not too much trouble to get it back in. Anyway, you put all your bolts back in, and here's seal it with ultra black first. And put all your bolts back in, fill it up with fluid, and then pray. Okay, good luck.